Hello, isn't this magical?
I can't believe they're actually here.
This is amazing, isn't it? So we're live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Vox Box on Newland Avenue, Hull's premier karaoke venue, and we are back bigger and better than ever before.
Ever before? Look at this! Look
Isn't
at
it
this.
amazing?
We've got a sign.
We've got a sign.
Bar, we've got lights. We've got camera. We've got action.
We've got action. And I'm loving the fact that you are appropriately dressed in your Chester musical motif. Today we're going to be talking about the fabulous Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim musical West Side Story.
Cheers. Cheers.
Before we start talking about the musical, what have you been up to since we were last recording?
Gosh, because didn't we last recording in 2020?
2020.
It's now 2023.
Yes.
Gosh, so we've done a bit of growing.
We have done a bit of growing. I haven't lost any of that lockdown weight.
Nor have I. Cheers.
Yeah, I've broken a tooth. I've got a bad back. The doctors have upped my sertraline. But other than that, I'm doing really, really well.
Oh, gosh, it sounds it. Well, yeah, no, I've been doing well as well, thank you. A bit of sort of life changing really, and like new jobs and new house and things like that. But yeah, I can't believe we're back. I'm so excited. I'm really excited to be here.
And we're going to apologise in advance about our drinking. But if you've listened to our podcast before, you know
what
SLP.
to expect.
Yes, SLP and I are prone to a tipple or two, shall we say. And we actually have an appropriate themed cocktail.
Of course.
This cocktail is appropriately called The Rumble.
The Rumble.
And I hope that tomorrow I don't feel shitty.
I feel shitty.
Very good, thank you.
Oh,
amazing.
amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, barman.
I love the flags. This is amazing. You've got the flag of Puerto Rico and the flag of America. So you're the Jets and I'm the Sharks.
I love
this.
this.
Little go, and then we'll start talking about the show.
God, this looks
gorgeous.
Wonderful.
The nice salt rim. Let's have that. Ooh, gosh.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, gosh. This is far removed from drinking shit mixes from a pint glass in my living room, which was...
oh, how we've grown.
Yes.
Oh, I love this.
So I'd like to start talking about West Side Story, but before I do that, I'd just like to offer an apology to our listeners, because I think that in previous podcasts, I've been a little bit harsh about film musicals. Listening to some of them back. And I totally get that film musicals are a little bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
But there are some fantastic film musicals out there. And I was originally introduced to the West Side Story from that original iconic classic movie.
Yeah.
What do you think about the new movie?
So, can I admit something?
Yes.
So I actually haven't seen the original one all the way through. I know. It used to be a favourite of my music teacher at school to when we, when you have a lesson near the end of term to sort of put it on, but we never got more than 20 minutes in. And so I just then never saw it. I don't know how, I know, I'm terrible. I don't know, but I have seen the new one and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the new one's great.
Enjoyed it.
It's not perfect.
No.
It is great. And what I liked about it is the subtle nods to the original movie. And Spielberg famously said in an interview quite recently that he didn't want to let his fans down. This was a real passion project for him because he was introduced, like I was, to the West Side Story as a young boy.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they reintroduced Rita Moreno and created a new part for her in that play, the sort of doc character, if you like. And what I love about Spielberg is rather than the casting director or the agent phoning the prospective actors to say that they've got the part, he phones them himself and announces to them that he's got the part. And especially with this new movie, with a lot of new sort of up-and-coming actors, that must have been incredible. And just taking a phone call from Steven Spielberg.
That's bonkers.
Really
bonkers. That's such a pinch me moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Jesus. But I really, I did really enjoy it actually. And it felt like it got the, and it's difficult to then compare, so you can help me out with the comparison one, but it felt like it got a really good sense of the dance and the energy, which of course is such the the massive part of West Side Story.
Yeah, like in America and the dance at the gym. And it was totally inspired by the original Jerome Robbins choreography, which of course is just iconic. It's the arms, it's the legs, it's the Anita flashing her dress.
I love that.
She's the greatest character, isn't she?
She is.
She is my favourite character. And a boy like that is just the most iconic tune.
That broke my heart a little bit. It was so good. Oh gosh, it was really good.
So,
in fact, I've actually not even seen a production of West Side Story like on stage. Now, hang on. I have and I haven't. I have been able to see it 3 times from the pit. And so you can barely see anything until the balcony scene. And then that's the only little bit there. So I'm really familiar with the score, but when I was watching the film through, it ended up being like actually the first time to sort of see a lot of the choreo, and it was just
incredible.
Incredible.
It's just incredible. There's a reason then, I think, why a lot of amateur societies and groups don't touch West Side Story. Not just because of the race issues, but it's a very difficult show to get right.
Absolutely.
With the drama and indeed the choreography.
Yeah.
Loosely based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Of course.
There are many musicals that are based on the works of Shakespeare, like Taming of the Shrew.
Taming of the Shrew?
Shoe, absolutely. Tame that shoe. Taming of the Shrew, of course, which is
Kiss Me Kate.
Yeah. And then you've got Return to the Forbidden Planet.
Oh, is that
The Tempest?
Yeah. Oh gosh, and then Hamlet with Lion King.
I was going to come to that. Maybe? I was going to come to that bit a bit later on, but since you've mentioned it...
Go for it.
I've written a few notes here about this because...
Am I going to get schooled, Chris?
Now, that's another podcast in itself.
Oh, yes, we have to do that.
Based on Hamlet the musical, yes or no?
Well, that's what I'm always told, that Lion King and Hamlet.
So I actually saw a production of Hamlet the musical in Edinburgh at Edinburgh Festival.
Hamlet the musical?
Hamlet the
Does
musical.
it have an
exclamation mark? It was a real sort of parody of the... I mean, I've got the cast album at home and it's absolutely sensational. But Lion King based on Hamlet? Or Hamlet based on Lion King? And is that the other way around?
Well, Hamlet was written first.
Well, yes, of course. But I think... I'm not so sure. I don't really see the parallels.
Oh, okay. It's the evil uncle doing the brother away.
Do you know Scar? I know we've said Lion King is another podcast in itself, but Scar, is the most evil of Disney baddies. And shall I tell you for why?
I want to contest this, but okay. All right, go on.
He's the only evil Disney character that actually kills somebody.
No, surely not.
Yes.
What?
He's the only Disney baddie that actually kills somebody.
Is that for real?
That's for real. Let's do a Lion King podcast.
We'll
share ideas.
We'll do all that. Oh God, that sounds
It's not like
bonkers.
us two veered away from the script.
No, well, that's it.
But there we go.
Gosh, well, because I would then definitely... I know we're moving away from West Side Story. We'll come back in a second. But I would have definitely put like Frollo and from Hunchback like up there.
Yeah.
But I suppose... Yeah, well, I mean, We'll come to that in our other podcast.
So music, obviously by the great Leonard Bernstein, and lyrics by the late, great Stephen Sondheim. And we had this sort of pre-talk, didn't we, before we started this podcast, that this is our first kind of tenuous look at a Sondheim musical.
It is, and I can't believe that it's actually taken us this long. But we have only done 8, I suppose.
This is our 9th podcast.
This is our 9th podcast.
We've not talked about Sondheim yet.
But we're in season 2, baby!
He was only 27 when he wrote the lyrics for West Side Story.
Are you joking? Oh, that makes you hate someone, doesn't it? How dare he be that bloomin' talented.
And from then, he wrote the lyrics for Gypsy.
Right.
Now, do you know, this is another fun Easter egg fact for you, that he was actually brought in to write the music and the lyrics for Gypsy, and it was Ethel Merman who said, if I'm going to play the lead in this musical, which they kind of written for her, and said, who is this Stephen Sondheim? He won't amount to a thing. I'm not going to take part in a musical written by somebody I don't know.
No.
So it was settled then that Stephen Sondheim would write the lyrics and Jules Stein would write the score.
Wow.
And I think, I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect musical and a perfect sort of writing combination. But I reckon if Stephen Sondheim had have written the music, it would have been an incredibly different show.
Altogether. Absolutely. It would be. Gosh. you can sort of, that's like a butterfly effect thing, isn't it? Had that conversation not happened, then we might have had a whole different journey with that show. Of that show.
Absolutely.
Wowzers. I found out some little Easter eggs about West Side Story. I love it. But you're a West Side Story aficionado, and you may well know these. So these may be more for our listeners.
You said this about the Rent thing, where I thought I knew everything about Rent, and then you came up with 4 or 5 different facts, and I was like, really?
I remember
Is that true?
I was really pleased about that. So, at least these were all surprises to me, so I'll share them with our listeners. This is sort of the weirdest one of all, that it apparently it was originally going to be East Side Story. And it was, apparently. So it was going to be a sort of similar concept of, the conflict and the inspired by Romeo and Juliet, if you like, but between a Catholic boy and a Jewish girl on the Upper East Side. Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. No,
I did not know
I'm
this.
really glad that you didn't know this.
I'm so excited to hear this.
So it's when the trio, so Leonard Bernstein, Jerome Robbins, who was concept and choreographer, wasn't he?
Yes, absolutely.
Arthur Lawrence. So they were sort of working on this and trying to work out, and it just wasn't working. So they sort of said, right, we'll put it on back burner. We'll go and work on some other projects. They met later. A couple of them met later, a couple of years later, and they were in a hotel, and they were sort of getting the newspapers in the morning, and they were really struck by the headlines of gang culture, and it suddenly went, oh. And so West Side Story, it became about that. Yeah, and it all went that way. So the story, so instead on the white gangs in America and the Puerto Rican immigrants. And I just think that's brilliant. Can you imagine it between I don't know. I think having the sort of the race element, almost as well as the religion element, it really, I can't imagine it not just being Catholic and Jew.
Absolutely that, and these themes that we talk about are still sort of relevant today. And whatever kind of side of the political fence you sit on about immigration,
absolutely,
you can't help but feel sort of warm and humbled by these stories of humility, I guess, and humanity. That's at its very core.
It really gets it. And that's what I always want from a show, if I'm honest. I love a kind of I don't know, a Legally Blonde leaping to mind, where it's sort of, quite fun and all the way through, but then you've got some moments of serious heart. I always want that in a show.
Yeah.
And I think you need it.
Yeah.
Don't you? You always need a bit of.
And I have that view about people calling theatre escapism, and I don't like that term.
Do you not?
And I don't like that term in the fact that how can you escape when you are, especially if it's something that you love and so passionate about, when you are fully invested in that story.
Yeah.
You're escaping, I guess, your own life, but you're not getting into the theatre to escape the themes that surround a story that you feel so intently passionate about. You know?
I see what you mean. Yeah, you shouldn't be sort of transported. It should sort of widen your perspective of thinking.
I've had a shitty day at work, I'm going to go to the theatre and just relax. No.
No.
I'm going to go to the theatre because I'm going to fully invest in this show.
I see what you mean.
So,
I've got another.
You've got another fact.
I've got another hidden fact for you.
And all them facts.
One of them. Sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough. In part of the Catholic Jew sort of original story, there is a hidden Easter egg still in the script.
Subplot?
Subplot. Right at the beginning in the Jet song, they mention, or they refer to clobbering their previous rivals, the Emeralds. And the Emeralds was going to be the original name of the Jewish gang in the script. So that's they decided to keep that in as
so the Emeralds and the, do you know?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know. But whoever, so it might have been I suppose it was the Jets, because it was still the Jets song.
The Emeralds and the Jets, of course.
But I like Jets and Sharks.
I like Sharks, and you?
I do. I know of one about the original 1961 film. Did you know that Audrey Hepburn was asked to play Maria?
Maria?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was asked to play Maria. She turned it down because I think she was pregnant at the time.
Oh, wowza.
She'd previously had some miscarriages, and so she was worried that it would be overexertion and everything like that, which is really understanding. But then, a really, really nice little Easter egg that I was really happy to find out. The hidden gem of musical theatre films, Marnie Nixon.
Yes, absolutely.
So she voiced the singing Maria, singing Maria in the film, and even a little bit of Anita in it. She covered the voices for that in the 1961. Both? And she then, of course, went on to be the voice for Audrey in My Fair Lady.
My Fair Lady,
yeah.
Of course.
And I just think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Is Natalie Wood not known as kind of like a vocalist then, or was she not right to sing that?
I don't know. I haven't sort of delved into it, but maybe... Well, I mean, it's not...
She had a tragic life, didn't she, Natalie Wood?
Tell me about it.
She died tragically. I mean, I don't really know the ins and outs of the facts about it, but I don't know whether she died on a boat, on a holiday or something. Or...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look at that. I'll look at that and research it a little bit.
Oh, crikey. But Marnie Nixon just turns up everywhere and you sort of look at the voice and it's like, oh, it's
there she is again.
And you can just hear it again. Yeah. Oh, no, it's wonderful.
So it originally opened in 1957.
Yes.
Which feels like a lifetime ago. When I were a lad.
When I were a lad.
And it tells the story of Tony and Maria and their love for one another.
Yeah.
Despite them coming from different backgrounds. And the Sharks and the Jets are akin to the Montagues and the Capulets from West Side Story. I mean, no spoilers here, but if you know the story of Romeo and Juliet, you can kind of see how this story pans out.
It's not going to end well. Sorry to say. Oh, God.
Amazing. What's iconic about West Side Story is that opening moment with the whistling.
Oh, yes.
Now, I don't know how whistling will translate over a podcast, but you know the whole... which I did very well there, may I say, thank you. I've got a little bit of a game. A West Side Story game.
Okay.
So I'm going to whistle some songs, not from West Side Story, just songs from generic musical theatre. I've only got 3.
We've literally only just started. You threw me in the deep end.
I think they're relatively easy, but I want to see if you can guess the musical that I'm whistling. A rather tenuous West Side Story link, but we're going with it. Okay, what about this one? Are you ready?
Yeah. Good morning to you singing in the rain.
Very good. It's Good Morning from Singing in the Rain. What about this one?
Bamboo from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Very good.
Oh, thank you.
And finally...
a drop of golden sun. That's not the words.
10 out of 10. That was Do Re Mi for Sound of Music. And if you've not listened to the Sound of Music podcast yet,
then you can go back and listen to our old ones. Brilliant. We are. This is our sort of season 2 opener, isn't it? But our season 1 is very much still available too.
Absolutely. But these podcasts are bigger and better than ever before. I mean, look at our surroundings.
Look at our surroundings. Should we have a drink of our cocktail?
Not? Yes. Why not?
Let's do this.
That'd be an appropriate moment for a break and the jingle to play, wouldn't it? Oh, stunning, but very strong.
I love that. That's really nice.
Gosh. Do you know what time it is, by the way?
We're not going to reveal what time it is, but it's
5
too
o'clock
early.
somewhere in the world.
I've got, what's a cool thing for you? Oh! So, to amp up tension in the rehearsal room for the original
I'm going to love this already.
You are.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, can you see our little flags here? Can you see how far apart we are? We're not really far apart at all. The Jets and the Shark actors were instructed to not integrate
at all. Not talk to each other?
Not talk to each other. Not at all. They would like to no interacting of any kind, right?
Wow.
Tick for already nice fact. B, fun fact. Chita Rivera fell in love with, what's he called, Tony Mordente.
Oh my goodness.
So she was playing...
What, in real life?
Yeah. So she was playing Anita, a shark.
Yes.
And Tony was playing a jet dancer.
Oh, wow.
They actually had like a proper love affair. And they ended up, falling in love, getting married, having a baby girl, which was lovely.
Gosh.
But a proper love affair, like, what's the phrase of like... life imitating art, or the other way around. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Absolutely, it happened.
I love
Isn't that so cool?
Fact.
I love it as well. I'm so excited.
Amazing.
But it's just, and I think they did. I did read somewhere that they split later on, but it's much less tragic than on stage.
Absolutely. There's that gorgeous lyric change, isn't there, in America?
Tell me about this.
Which was, I think we discussed this, didn't we, when we were sort of planning our podcast, where Rita Moreno, who is a Puerto Rican actress, had decided that she wasn't going to sing America in its current state, in the lyrics. Because the lyrics originally were Puerto Rico, you ugly island, Island of tropic diseases. Ooh, and she was like, hang on, no, I don't like this. You're not talking about my home country like this.
No.
So the lyrics were obviously changed to Puerto Rico, you lovely island, island of tropical breezes, which is a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, imagine later on in his career questioning Sondheim about one of his lyrics.
Oh my God! You've been shocked out of the rehearsal room.
Yeah, as a mere 27-year-old, he was definitely inspired by the works of Rodgers and Hammerstein, wasn't he, when he started writing?
Yes.
And Rodgers and Hammerstein, obviously from the golden era of musical theatre.
Musicals. I've got a question for you, Chris.
Yes.
Were you to put on your own production of this, is there something that you've either seen in a staging of this that you've seen, or like something from the films that you would sort of feel quite strongly about wanting to include, or is there elements that you'd sort of be like, I definitely want this big, because I know obviously you are a dancer extraordinaire.
Well, so in my day, dear, I used to be a dancer, but not so much now. It's that lockdown weight.
But that's not what I did. But yeah, so I'd imagine that the elements of this would be
going
really
back to the film. Then is what Sondheim did, what Spielberg rather did brilliantly.
Yeah.
Was the subtle nods to the original, and I'd like to keep some of that. You know, those little pockets of poignancy that people will look at it and think, I recognise that, but I like the reworking of it. I like what he did there with a subtle nod to the original.
Yeah, little tip of the hat things.
Do you know what? I wouldn't want to try and recreate Jerome Robbins' choreography in that is perfection.
I see.
But there needs to be elements of that in there,
like the flair of
because the choreography is what makes the musical so iconic.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's the arm extensions and the leg extensions and the dance at the gym and more notably the America sequence.
Oh,
wouldn't you just love one of those dresses? Wouldn't you just love to be there?
All the time. I would not like stand still. Yeah.
SLP, stop fiddling with your dress. We're rolling.
We should get them for next time and just be like, oh,
yes, yeah. We're talking about a completely different show, but we're in the West Side Story garb.
I'd really like that. Oh, gosh. As well, I was, because when I was doing a bit of research, I was aware that obviously I'm down by not having seen the original film, but there are obviously, looking at the 2021 film, there are a lot of people who naturally are comparing the two. Especially because they're so close. One thing that popped out to me, which I then wondered if you might want to comment on, because I can't refer to the original one, that the white gang, that in the 2021 version, they kind of, I did kind of get this impression, they come across quite toxic, whereas in the original, are they sort of kind of a bit more likeable, a bit more protagonistic?
I think that says something about how Spielberg sits in this political argument.
Nice.
When I watched this, I kind of got the impression that, exactly like yourselves, that the Jets came across a little bit more forceful, a little bit more angry. In the original movie, it's more about these guys have come over and they feel threatened by these guys for taking over their hometown.
Right, okay. So you're seeing it more from their perspective.
I wouldn't like to judge, but if I was a betting man, I would bet that Spielberg was pro-immigration, I guess.
Yeah.
Beautifully handled. There are moments that it's not perfect. It's not a perfect movie.
No.
But it is beautifully handled. And what I liked about it was the ensemble pieces in the new movie, which were just
really
breathtaking.
Yeah.
Totally breathtaking. And hats off to him. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, no, I thought that was brilliant. It's interesting when you said, when we were opening about movie musicals, and you sort of saying that you feel that you might have been a bit harsh on them in the past or anything like that. I get why though, because when you're watching a show, obviously you get your own experience of it, and so then when something's then made into like a everlasting film, that then it's always going to be like that, as opposed to a stage show where it kind of always is fresh and can keep changing, of course people are going to disagree with it and be like, that's not how I envision it. and stuff like that. So it's tricky with movie musicals, isn't
Going
it?
back to the In the Heights movie, which of course is loosely based on sort of Puerto Rico.
Yes, yeah.
Is it James Chu who directs that? He's the same guy that's directing the Wicked movies. Now,
okay.
I'm a big fan of In the Heights. I've never, ever claimed otherwise.
No.
But as a movie, that is just one of the most joyous, most beautiful movies to sit down and watch. And
Pure joy.
You could argue that the plot line is a little bit thin, but what I'm excited about is the fact that he's been asked to direct the Wicked movie, which is in 2 parts. And I am yes.
Is it going to be in 2 parts?
It's going to be in 2 parts.
I didn't know that. Where are they going to split it?
So after Defying Gravity. So they're going to run it like a 2-act show.
Whoa!
And it's going to be done in 2 parts.
That's bonkers.
Isn't it?
I had no idea about that. We have to do a Wicked.
But he's directing, and I'm so excited about that. Because he understands movie musicals. He understands the genre of the musical and why that's so important and how it translates onto a film. And in this series of podcasts that we're doing, we're going to be talking about the big one very soon, the Les Mis. And there's a lot of things that I need to explore with you on that particular movie. But that's for another day and another podcast.
Amazing.
Have you got any more Easter egg facts for me?
I think I might have one more. One more. Nice, simple one. So when they were doing the choreography, in fact, sorry, this is for recording the film, because a lot of the dancers ended up doing both from the original thing as well. When they were recording the cool scene, they were working so damn hard with that dance that apparently they burned through their knee pads.
What?
They burned, I'll say it again, they burned through their knee pads, and they went through like over 200 pairs of shoes between them all. I can
just imagine Jerome Robbins like, do it again, do it again, do it again.
And apparently
until
it's
it's
so
exactly
intense.
as he wanted it to be.
Can you imagine that though?
Absolutely marvellous.
How, I just could not. I think I would just be in a crying mess on the floor. Well, I mean, I'm not a dancer anyway. I'd be going, why am I here?
God bless. God bless. Well, I'm absolutely loving this cocktail.
Oh, God,
I'm
it's absolutely
loving
delightful.
this
Let's have another little
podcast.
cheers.
I adore West Side Story. I know you do too. As a musician, of course, you're going to love West Side Story.
Oh, it's the best score.
It's breathtaking, isn't it?
It's so exciting.
And I can't wait to hear what's in store in our next couple of podcasts.
Indeed. Should we reveal what our next one is?
Ooh.
Shall we?
Shall we?
Our next podcast is going to be Little Shop of Horrors.
A Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Until next time, see you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Cheers.